Okay, everyone. We currently have 118 participants here today to celebrate Lens's first annual open source birthday celebration. I want to thank each and every single one of you guys for joining us today. We couldn't be more excited to talk about where Lens is now, how it's evolved, and where we see Lens going in the future. To start, I do want to just mention some housekeeping items. So we will be opening up chat for some people to talk if they choose to do so. You will need to raise your hand on the right hand side. And we will be also going through a Q&A at the end with the founding team as well. So I do want to mention that in order for you to speak in this meetup today, you will have to raise your hand, and our host, John Janchig, will give you the ability to do so if we find it necessary. That being said, our agenda today is quite simple. For the first 15 minutes, we will do networking and we'll do some polling so the Lens team can get a better understanding of our audience and who is here with us today, and also where you individuals are based, right? That's very exciting for us to see. From there, we will actually have the opportunity to meet the core Lens founding team. We'll have the chance to ask them any questions we have, and really just to learn a little bit about how they started this open source project, why they started it, and what they envisioned for it. And then from there, we'll transition into a Ask Me Anything. And we will be asking Niska, one of the co-founders of Lens, any type of questions that we have, whether it's Lens related, Kubernetes related, or even any cloud native technologies that we are all interested in. From there, we will be giving away some swag to some of our lucky end users. We will be giving away these awesome Lens hoodies, as you guys can see here. Miska's wearing one as well. And we will be giving away a couple Raspberry Pis to some lucky winners. So without further ado, once again, guys, I want to thank each and every single one of you. I know we have people from all over the world here. And let's have a great celebration for Lens being an open source technology. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. And we will be jumping into a networking and a conversation. So if you all could please just jump into the chat, say hello to one another, that would be phenomenal. And then from there, we will introduce some polling questions that we will find interesting, and we will share those polling questions with everybody as well. So please join me to say hello to all of your colleagues, friends, and families. So hello, everyone. And Mikkel, yes, Pi Day was yesterday. Pi Day was yesterday. Wow, look at all the comments. We have 170 people here today, guys, from all over the world. That is so cool. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. And it's continuing to grow. 170 people. T Haddock, we will be answering your question towards the end. Thanks for reaching out. Okay, John, can you please launch our polling question? I know many of you guys have shared with us where you guys are from. We are also introducing this in a polling question. So John Jasig, our host, our man behind the scenes, will be actually launching a polling question to each and every single one of you so we can actually see where everybody is from in a percentage. So John Jay, can you please launch the polling questions for our awesome audience? And again, guys, thanks for joining. And panelists, please answer it as well if you have the ability to do so. Lens team, please answer it as well. So first question, where are you guys based? The next question, we're curious, how long have you guys been using Lens for, if at all? I'm hoping many of you guys have been using it at least more than a month so far. And if you haven't, guys, that's totally all right. You guys can have the opportunity to download Lens, the open source technology, via our GitHub at Lens app. We're curious what you guys' primary job function is as well, guys. So please share with us. What is your primary job function? Fani, I love your chat message. I'm so happy that Lens is back. I mourned initially when Lens development has stopped. We're happy Lens development is continuing, and it's going in some exciting places, and we'll be sharing that with you guys today. So how far along are you guys in your Kubernetes journey? Please share it with us. In development, proof of concept, deployed in production, still learning, educational. Almost 200 people here, guys, almost 200 people. Let's see if we can hit 200 total attendees. That would be so, so cool. Tushar, there will not be a Lens demo. There will not be a Lens demo today, unfortunately. And then the last question, everybody, what are your biggest Kubernetes challenges? I'm interested to see, is it complexity, cultural changes, security, storage, organizational adoption? And Fani can give a demo. That's awesome. Thanks, Fani. Schedule it. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, complexity, submit. We'll give everybody the opportunity to still see, to still fill out the survey. 200 participants, guys, 200 participants. Awesome. Fantastic. So I'm hoping everybody had the opportunity to actually answer the Q&A. John, can you please display the results for us? It should be possible. Okay, here we are. So we have 1% of our audience from Africa. Thank you for joining. I'm curious what time it is in Africa right now. Could you drop it in the chat? 16% of our audience is from Asia. Very, very cool. I think it's quite late over there right now, right? 9 p.m., 10 p.m. maybe? 24% of our audience is from EMEA. Awesome. It's end of day there, I believe. So happy Monday to you guys. And North America, we are just starting our day. 54% of our attendees are from North America. Awesome. South America, 4%. Welcome. Welcome, guys. And I guess nobody is from Antarctica. I would be wondering where your Wi-Fi is coming from if you were in Antarctica right now. So 0% from Antarctica. That makes sense. Okay, cool. It looks like the polling is working, guys. And Australia with 0%. Oh, that's unfortunate. No Australians in the chat. Okay. 30% of our audience has not used Lens. Wow. How long have you been using Lens, the Kubernetes IDE? 30% of our audience has not used Lens. We're going to have to change that, guys. We're going to have to change that. 21%, the next highest tier, 21% has been using Lens for a year. That is so awesome, guys. That is awesome to hear. Thank you so much. And then less than 6 months with 16%. That is fantastic. I see someone said from New Zealand, but that was not an option on the poll. I apologize. We went with continents. My apologies. New Zealand is in the house. Very nice to have you. Less than 3 months has been 9%, and less than 1 month has been 17%. Dominican Republic, awesome. Okay, what is your primary job function? Developers with 28%, they are coming in at first. 24% of you guys are architects. We have some security ops here too, with 1%, exciting. DevOps, 24% coming in at second place, DevOps. Welcome, Dr. Houston from Egypt, welcome. We have 16% operators, IT admins, or site reliability engineers. Give it up for these guys. We have some scientific research and data analysts, 2%. We have some C-level individuals here. 3% of our audience are some C-level individuals. Thanks for joining, guys. And we do have some student and interns. I love seeing that. Take control of your Kubernetes clusters with Lens, guys. Multi-cluster Kubernetes management. Okay, 32% of our audience is still in the educational and learning stage for Kubernetes adoption. Wow. 41% of our audience has deployed it in production. Very, very nice. People are still within the proof of concept stage, 14%. In development stage, 13%. Wow, this is so awesome to see how it's spread across each and every single one of these stages. That is so exciting. And to the final question, guys, what is your biggest Kubernetes challenge? This should be interesting to all of us. Complexity with 37%. Wow. I think that matches, Miska, I think that matches what the cloud native report mentioned as well. I think that matches that as well. That complexity is the biggest challenge with Kubernetes currently.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. Cultural changes in development, 23%, guys. Security, 17%. Storage, 4%. And organizational adoption, 18%. I'm using Minikube in my home lab virtual environment. Very cool, Tashar. Awesome, guys. So thank you so much for sharing where you're from, your job function, where you are with Kubernetes, how long you've been using Lens, and the challenges that you are currently facing with Kubernetes. I want to kick this off where we can now jump into the next section of the meetup itself, where we will have the opportunity to actually meet the Lens core development team. This is something that I had the opportunity to do roughly 6 months ago, if not more. And I've learned a ton from each and every single one of these individuals. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Miska. Miska is part of the Core Lens Foundation team. And Miska, could you please give us an intro to the community?
Yeah, hey all. Yeah, this is super exciting to see so many people joining this meetup, first of all. Of course, I have been with Lens before, you know, even before it all started. So seeing this amount of people and the number of excitement behind it, so it's truly amazing. So for those one of you who don't maybe know so much about me, so I have been basically running multiple startups in the past. I've been always very much interested in the open source and you know, bleeding edge technologies and those type of things. And well, we started doing Lens back in 2016 or 17, I believe. The roots of Lens goes very far. I believe we have also a, you know, a section also about Lens, so I don't go too much in the details of the history of Lens. But yeah, my background, yeah, I'm a hobby programmer. I love cool new technologies, building beautiful products inside and out, and yeah, being leading the Lens development since its beginning. So that's pretty much my story.
Awesome. Thanks, Miska. Is Yari or Laurie here? Would you guys please introduce yourselves?
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Yeah, so my name is Jari Kulehmainen, and I'm also one of the founding members of the Lens project. And also, as Miska mentioned, I was involved with the project even before it had a name called Lens. So yeah, so those first guys who actually made something around Lens.
That's awesome to hear, Yari. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. And Laurie, are you here as well? Could you introduce yourself? You're muted, Laurie. Laurie, I believe you are muted.
All right. Thanks for hint.
I like the
Yeah.
the background, by the way. It's an excellent background.
Yeah, it took almost 10 seconds to choose this. But yeah. Yeah, but hello everyone. I'm Lauri Nevala, also one of the founding members of Lens, and yeah, many years since we started to implement Lens, and it has been so nice to see the adoption and people who like the product. It's best thing to do to offer some product that is liked and people are very keen into it. So very nice to see that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Miska and team, I know there are some people that are part of the founding team that may not be here today. Could you maybe share with us another member or a couple other members that are a part of the team that are not here today?
Sure. So basically, we have these original creators of Lens. I don't know if they are joining here today, but we have Alexandru, and we have, let me see, we have Roman, Carlo, we have Jussi Nummelin, and we have people like Kimmo Lehto. At least those are the names that I can easily spot.
Sure.
Here.
Sure. Well, I do have some questions for each of you. So thank you all for introducing yourselves to the larger audience. I'm curious to how many people actually have met the founding team of Lens. I'm sure not many of you. Maybe the team and the audience can mention in the chat if they ever had a conversation with somebody on the Lens founding team, or if they're in our Slack community channel, where you can actually reach out to each and every single one of our members and our team to be able to have real-time conversations with us, troubleshooting and feedback and so forth. So if you guys do not mind, please jump into the chat. And that would be so cool to share with us if you guys have ever joined our Slack channel or had the opportunity to speak with the team itself. I'm seeing some no's. It looks like many of you individuals have not had the opportunity to speak with the team. Never had the need. That's fair. Do you have the Slack channel URL? Yes, I do. Give me 1 second. Let me grab that for us.
I can do it. I have it right here.
Awesome. Thank you, Miska.
So there's the link to join the Slack.
Yes, please join the Slack, everybody. This is an area where we talk about Lens extensions, troubleshooting, feedback, and really just conversation around Kubernetes and cloud native technologies. We want to have our community have the opportunity to work with one another, share insights, troubleshoot together, and really achieve their container initiatives with one another. Where can I get a Lens hoodie? Tom, we will be raffling away some Lens hoodies at the end of the meetup. I believe that will be in about 45 minutes. We will be raffling away these Lens hoodies here, as you guys can see. And we will also raffle away a couple Raspberry Pis to our audience. Okay, now that we've shared our Slack channel and individuals have shared with us whether or not they've actually joined the Slack channel, Miska and team, I do have some questions for you guys. How did you guys get involved with one another, and how did the idea of Lens come about to tackle multi-cluster Kubernetes management?
Oh, wow. That was a big question.
You could take which part you want of it.
we met. We were all actually working in the same company. It was a one big enterprise IT company based in Finland. So we did used to work there, all of us actually at the same time. And actually we were creating something similar to Heroku back in the days. It was year 2013 or 2014, early 2014. Then Docker came along, and we immediately fell in love with the container technology, and so basically we were working there, and we realized together that hey, we should actually start a company around doing something beautiful around the container technologies. And yeah, since then, we realized that okay, we want to start a company together, and since then we have been working together. So I guess that's the short version.
Understood. So you somewhat touched on my next question, and it's regarding the company you guys have created. So taking a look at earlier releases of Lens, there's mentionings of Container. Is that the company that you're relating to right now, that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's right. So we started Container back in 2015 with the idea of creating the most developer-friendly container orchestration technology that one can possibly imagine. And also, I think that was also kind of the start for Lens, because I'm a huge believer is that if you create a beautiful technology, it also kind of deserves to have a beautiful UI.
Absolutely.
So basically we started, the root and origin of Lens was that we started creating a kind of nice looking UI for our own container orchestration technology back in the days. But of course, then many things happened, and Kubernetes was I think it was crowned a king of container orchestration, and we also had to move on. So at that point, we transformed our UI technology to be applicable in the Kubernetes context. And yeah, that's Container. Yeah, it was very much involved and influencing the development of Lens, and I'm very happy about those years at Container.
Understood. So it sounds as if you guys created Container to launch or focus on your own container initiatives initially, correct?
Yeah, I think that's right. And it was kind of very exciting times in the beginning, because at those days there were still kind of many competing container orchestration technologies. Like we had Swarm, and we had many different companies had their own container orchestration technologies, and it was not clear that which one of these is going to be a winner, or maybe we will have multiple winners. But now we all know how it ended up. So Kubernetes actually became the standard for container orchestration. So
understood. So I think you may have touched on this already, but where is everybody based? Is the team all based in the same location, or are you guys spread across the globe? I myself, as you know, is in the United States. Where are you guys all based, Miska?
Well, luckily I don't have a share a room with these guys, so
Sure.
but we are I believe we are all located, at least I'm located in Finland, close by Helsinki, and to my understanding the rest of the crew is also around here.
So the entire team are somewhat, you could say, neighbors.
Yeah, well, I must say that nowadays, if you think about the entire Lens team, so of course now when we are part of Mirantis and being able to do this thing with much more resources, so actually the development team spans actually across the globe. So we have the core development team members. They are from Canada to UK, to Germany, to France. We have, of course, many people still in Finland, in Russia. So many different locations and time zones to cover our team meetings. And yeah, you are as well. You are based in California. So yeah.
Yes, guys, I'm based in California for every attendee here. Luckily for me, I'm in San Francisco, California, and we have some beautiful, beautiful weather recently. So probably not the same weather as Finland. I'm sure it's extremely cold up north in Finland. What is the temperature like in Finland today?
I guess it's like some +1 or 0 at least around here where I'm located. So it's actually quite horrible. It's the slush, you know, or the snow is melting and stuff like that. So
Understood. Okay, well, we have 2 more minutes in this section, and I do want to ask one more final question. What makes this team so special, Miska?
Well, don't ask me. Maybe Lauri and Jari knows.
Jari or Laurie, would you guys like to jump in?
I think we share the same vision, so we don't need to discuss so much about that stuff. It's only matter how we are going to do it. So.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and
I have to agree with Lauri. Yeah, we share the same vision, so that helps a lot.
Understood. I totally agree. I think when building your own business and being entrepreneurs, you want to be working with individuals that share the same vision and understand the challenges with the technologies individuals are using to, one, tackle container orchestration, but also make Kubernetes developers, operators, site reliability engineers, IT admins' lives much, much easier when working with multi-cluster Kubernetes management. Awesome. So we're at 10:15, and we will transition now into the next section within our agenda, which is specifically around the past, which we somewhat talked about, the present, and the future for Lens. So Miska, could you share a little bit, and I know you talked about this a little bit already, but could you please share with us a little bit about Lens, maybe prior to Mirantis? I know you touched on this just a bit, but maybe sharing with the audience. Container was their organization, everybody, and the team is now working with Mirantis, but specifically we're focused on the open source project. This entire team is entirely focused on Lens as an open source project and tackling multi-cluster Kubernetes management. So Miska, could you share with us a little bit about the past of Lens?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, for everybody in the audience, so you can, I believe there is the Q&A box that should be visible to everybody. So please use that if you have some specific question that you would like to get answered. And there is also upvoting possibility. So if you can see that there is some question that is particularly kind of interesting that you want to know, you want to get answered, so we can touch on all of those questions then in the later part of this.
Exactly. In 15 minutes from now, we will go into a session where we really want to focus on our audience, asking the team any type of questions they have around, again, Kubernetes, Lens, container initiatives, cloud native technologies, and so forth. So when you guys have the opportunity, please jump into the chat and ask away.
Yeah. So going back to your original question, so Lens before it became open source and before Mirantis even. So as some of you might know, maybe some of you have been using Lens even more than 1 year because Lens was available from Team Container earlier, but it was not open source. So it was closed source, and therefore, you know, there has been much more work than that is just, you know, happening during the past 1 year that goes into the product itself. So I mentioned earlier that the development actually started, I believe, back in 2017. And at that time, Lens was web-based application. You use it with the browser, and it was something that you had to run in your cluster. And it was not for multi-cluster operations. It was for single cluster visualization. And of course, it was lacking many of the features that we have in Lens today, but in the essence, the look and feel was still pretty much the same. So over the time, we kind of tried to figure out that why the adoption for this type of web UI technology that we created. So why doesn't it fly? Why people don't install it more and start using it more? So one key finding that we did back in the days was that actually we get tons of visitors to our website and everything, and people were even checking the getting started guide, but then after that nobody really installed it, because it was back in those days, it was still something that you had to kind of install in a cluster. So at that point, we realized that, hey, maybe it's so that most of the users who are interested in stuff like this are actually developers who don't have the admin credentials into their clusters. So they don't actually have capabilities to install anything like this. So therefore, we started then figuring out, okay, what can we do about this? And basically, then we got this idea that, hey, can we somehow package this web-based solution we have created and package it as a native desktop application, and to make it so that actually people can use it by using the same kubeconfig files that they would anyway need to use when they are using kubectl. And I think once we did that, that was really the key to the success. So once we did that, people really kind of, the product started, really started picking up the steam, and the adoption started. But then unfortunately, Contena went out of business. But I think we found a good home for a team from Mirantis. And yeah, it's been now excited that the entire team could join Mirantis, and also that we could find a way how to transfer the Lens project for under Mirantis management. And now we can, even with more resources, invest on developing and making Lens the most beautiful tool for Kubernetes operations. So I think that's some kind of a history.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And why did you guys decide to open source the technology? You mentioned it was closed in the past. It's closed sourced.
Well, it was the time when Contena went out of business, and we had just joined Mirantis. So it was actually myself and Jari. We were able to acquire the Lens, all the intellectual property from the company that went down. So we were able to acquire all of that technology, and we figured that, well, we are fully invested in Mirantis, but still we have this great technology. So let's make people happy. So why don't we just open source it all? And because we wanted to keep on using the product also ourselves. So
right. So
maybe we will find some additional contributors from the community or something like that. So yeah, we wanted to make it available for everybody, and that's what we did.
And to my understanding, there are many contributors outside of the main team and Mirantis themselves, correct?
Yeah, and I think actually what is interesting is that you don't have to be a contributor, like submitting some pull requests or writing lines of code. So I think you are as valuable contributor also if you are, sharing, sharing the love of Lens to your colleagues and people around you, because I think whenever I will see more adoption and more happy users around Lens, it will kind of make the core team even work harder. So
Absolutely.
I think that's also kind of a contribution that what you can do if you are not able to contribute the lines of source code. So
absolutely. So you talked a little bit about the past prior to becoming an open source technology. Could you guys share with us a little bit about some of the main features for our audience? As you saw in the polling, 30% of our audience has never used Lens before. So sharing with the larger audience a little bit about our functionalities and some of the features that help developers, operators, site reliability engineers take control of multi-cluster Kubernetes management would be quite beneficial, I think, to the larger audience.
right. So Jari, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah, Lens has lots of interesting features, but maybe the most important ones are the fact that you can connect to multiple clusters using Lens. You can have your local Minikube, any cloud Kubernetes at the same time within Lens, and you can easily switch between those. And everything you see through Lens is kind of like real time, so you can see the current state of a cluster, deployments, events, all flowing through the application, and Lens also tries to highlight the problems and issues that you might have within a cluster. So yeah, it should help with troubleshooting stuff. And one of my favorite features actually is the terminal that we embed within a Lens, because once you have multiple clusters and multiple kube config files, multiple kube config contexts, you're having a bad time when you're trying to figure out what is the right context for your like normal terminal, and how do you switch between the clusters. With Lens, it's quite easy because you always have the right context within your terminal. So yeah, that's one of the biggest features for me.
Absolutely. So everybody, Lens allows you to connect any certified Kubernetes distribution directly to Lens, and you have the ability to switch from cluster to cluster, meaning you can create specific workplaces for your EKS clusters, your GKE clusters, and you have the ability, again, to have these workspaces allowing you to separatize your clusters from one another. So for example, we can have all of our development clusters in one area of Lens, and we can switch back from cluster to cluster while maintaining the correct cluster Kubernetes endpoint, meaning we're reducing user error when switching from, let's say, a GKE cluster to a EKS cluster. Lens's smart terminal that Jari mentioned automatically matches to the correct cluster endpoint, thus reducing any user error while working with multi-cluster Kubernetes management. So gentlemen, we touched on a couple features, but in December, I believe we released one of our largest releases to date. That was Lens 4.0. Could you share with the larger audience what that release entailed and some of the functionality that was given to our users?
All right, so Lens 4.0, I believe that was the biggest release that we have ever made around Lens. First of all, it includes huge internals refactoring, which kind of means nothing for the actual end users, but actually the feature that will now benefit from that is the extensions and the extensions API. So now basically it means that all the users of Lens, if you're familiar with the Lens UI, so basically everything that you can see on the Lens UI can be extended and enriched with the third-party extensions. Those extensions are written in React and TypeScript, so it should be quite trivial for anybody to create those extensions. And we have their number of examples available, and also some of the vendors have been starting to develop their extensions. So we have some pretty good examples from I believe there is one from Aqua Security, one from Kubernetes, and maybe some others also. So maybe as an example, the Aqua Security extension, I believe that's great extension and kind of shows the power very well, is that now you can start to see all the security vulnerabilities that you might have on your workloads directly in the Lens. And if you think about it, that it's very powerful, because in the past, developers who are doing their applications and might be doing some observing on the clusters, how are the workloads doing and so forth. So now you can actually also display the security vulnerability information for those guys. So they don't need to log anymore to a dedicated sec DevOps portals or anything like that. They can start seeing that information directly within Lens. So I think that's super powerful, and that's available to you just by installing a simple extension into Lens. So yeah, I must say that the highlight of the 4.0 is the extensions and the extensions API.
Amazing, Miska. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, everybody, we have many extensions that the community has built to allow our users to tackle multi-cluster Kubernetes management. Laurie actually created one of the coolest extensions, I think, which is, maybe Laurie, you can touch a little bit on the extension that you created, the Kubernetes resource management extension. Could you share with the audience a little bit about that extension? I think everybody would find that quite fascinating.
Yeah, so I created an extension that will help to troubleshoot. If you have Kubernetes manifest on your editor, it's very hard to spot if there are any issues that, for example, if service has different labels than pods, so there's a mismatch, or ingress is not finding the correct service. So I created a visualization of those Kubernetes resources as force directory graph, and you will see immediately if there are any broken links between those resources, and of course it's real-time view to cluster resources. So if there are new pods appearing, you will see immediately those on the visualization too. And yeah,
Awesome.
you can check it out.
Yes, I dropped a link in the chat, everybody, where you can see all of the extensions that are currently approved by the Lens core team. Everybody, we are at 10:30, and I do want to ask one final question to the team. Could you guys maybe give us a sneak peek on where you guys see Lens is going, or is there any releases that we should be aware of that are coming in the next couple of weeks, possibly? Do you have anything that you would like to share with the greater audience regarding Lens's future?
Of course, you know, the beauty of open source is that pretty much the entire roadmap is also public. So as people can see that that there are hundreds of issues that we are actively trying to resolve, and I think if the common kind of theme around those issues is to reduce complexity.
Absolutely.
So let's put it that way, that maybe 50% of our time we are spending on fixing all kind of issues and improvement ideas coming from the community, so from our users. And of course, we are also now lucky with some extra resources we have available from Mirantis, so we can also little bit look forward to the future and maybe focus on doing something that would, you know, truly make an impact in a future. In there, we are basically focusing on couple of areas. First of all, we want to take Lens more integrated in the local inner development workflows. So we feel that the current situation in the market for addressing the developers' need to tighten the inner development loop. So if you think about it, the situation where you have the source code is in front of you, you make a change to your software and you hit the save. So what is happening after that? So what should happen? I can explain to you what should happen. So basically, your software should be somehow be transformed and to be run immediately inside a cloud native platform like Kubernetes, so that you could immediately see what type of end result this change that you are doing in your source code will apply. And for us, it's not enough that you would see it somewhat, like running it in a Docker Compose. So that's not good enough, because often these cloud native applications are something that you can't abstract in a Docker Compose file kind of good enough. So we want to take Lens and add more functionality to Lens to make it much more enjoyable experience for developers to actually write their software and observe how their changes are actually, what happens actually when they do those changes. So, and to make it even so that they don't need to do any kind of git push and some heavy CI/CD jobs kicking in and then observing. So no, nothing like that. So it needs to be very tight inner development loop, and Lens will be trying to do some magic in there. So that's kind of one area. The second part is what we want to resolve is it's also for maintaining our own mental health, is the solve how to actually share access to kube clusters more easily. At the moment, it's almost like ridiculous. If I'm using Lens and I can now personally see beautifully, I will see my 7 clusters that I'm working with. So now I have a new team member joining to my team. So the amount of effort that this new team member currently has to go through to get these same 7 clusters displayed on his own personal Lens is just something, it's just crazy. So we want to make a solution that is super secure, kind of is conformant to all these kube RBAC rules and everything, but still being able to use Lens almost like a some social media service where you can just invite people into your clusters and grant their permissions and stuff like that, regardless of what is the infrastructure what those clusters are based on. So those are the kind of things that are currently under our investigation, and I hope that we have something great to share about those couple of features in the coming weeks and months.
So long story short, it sounds like hopefully eventually Lens will have the ability to share K8's clusters with team members in a extremely secure fashion.
Right, and why not also create clusters if you don't have clusters? So why does it have to be so difficult to create those clusters?
Wow. Very, very cool. Okay, we are 6 minutes over that particular section in our agenda. I want to mention to everybody that we will now transition over to asking the team any type of question you have. I can currently see there's 26 questions in the Q&A chat. And from there, we will jump into our raffle giveaway, where we will be giving away several Raspberry Pis and some Lens swag to the larger audience. So about another half an hour here, everybody. Really excited to have each and every single one of you here. We're at 252 total individuals in the meetup today, and that is truly amazing. So from here, Miska and team, please take a look at the questions in the Q&A box where we can see which questions have been upvoted by the community, and we can hopefully answer these all in real time.
Okay, so are they sorted out or ranked order?
They are in ranked order, correct.
Okay, so let's go. So first one, why oh why haven't you merged a PR around show cluster name in left menu feature? So, oh, maybe we have here Yaris on the call. Maybe you can explain why.
That is a good question. I'm not sure which PR are we talking about, but maybe it's the one where we actually swap the icons to something more meaningful. And yeah, it's still under review. Probably we'll get into the next release, but let's see.
Yeah, maybe if somebody can clarify if we are now on the right issue. So
Yes.
There is some discussion about hovering stuff.
So in the chat, Idan said it's the concept. I'm sorry, I do not understand. Idan, can you please maybe re-ask the question?
Or copy the link to PR or something like that. So maybe while we are waiting for that, maybe we can go to the next one.
Let's do it.
Okay, any plans to allow for column resizing for all pages? So yeah, column resizing is coming. Jari, what is the current status of that? I believe it's very actively worked on. So is it coming actually in the next release or the one after?
I think the current target is to have it in 4.3, so about a month, but we still have to wait. But yeah, it's actively worked on, and I have seen the kind of like current state, and it looks really promising.
Great.
Let's go back to Idan's question. So they mentioned that it's a feature request, and Idan, I do want to mention that as many have answered in the chat, you do have the ability to select your own personal icon to distinguish between specific clusters in Lens, right? So you can easily have an icon for your production cluster, GKE cluster, and so forth.
Yeah, so maybe to expand a little bit there, so the change that is coming in there is that actually the default behavior will be a little bit updated. So the default behavior will be a little bit similar to what you can see from Slack or Discord, for example. So basically, you will actually see the first 3 letters of the name of your cluster, and you can customize what those 3 letters or up to 3 letters are. And you can change the color or you can change the icon. So we basically add the new option there that it will display just the 3 letters, the name of the icon with the possibility to change the color. Plus there will be option to use the icon just like today. And these current symbols will go away that we have there.
Understood. Okay, let's move on to the next question.
All right. So then this is maybe a little bit longer one. We use Lens to manage our prod, non-prod, and dev cluster. I work for a very large scale company and have to manage 30 to 40 clusters. That's nice actually, quite nice number of clusters. When we load such heavy kubeconfig file, the cluster list on the left becomes so much and not easy to identify. So I guess this is about how to manage the clusters that you can see on the left-hand side. Okay, so I hope that actually this question is a little bit related to the previous one. So by default, those clusters will get kind of a name, and it's more easy to change the color for the icons. And of course, you can still assign an icon for those. And of course, you can still use the workspaces.
Yes.
To separate different clusters by different meanings to different kind of workspace.
Yes. You can create various different workspaces for your clusters to be able to distinguish between different groups. It looks like you answered Dean's question, which is any plans for column resizing. We've talked about this. This is a cool question by Valentin. And guys, or team, I apologize if I butcher anybody's names. So I'll mention that now. A question from Valentin. I find the UI very friendly. Did you have a UX team behind Lens?
Yes, it's a massive team of one.
And who is that one?
I might have been doing quite a bit of design work around the UI. Still, even I have been doing quite a bit of UI UX work for Lens, but I still feel that there are so many areas where we could improve. Some of the areas we just didn't have time to revisit for a very long time, and I think they would need a refresh. Okay. Then what's next? Ed, maybe you can pick from the list because we are changing orders.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's take a look at one. I am scanning through this.
There is one from
Go
Gowen. Are there any plans to integrate or create service mesh tools into Lens? I think this is a great example where we are actually looking to collaborate with the cloud native ecosystem by large, because there are companies whose main business is to create service mesh solutions. So we would like to work with one of those companies actually, and they would maintain the service mesh extension for Lens. So that's our kind of idea. I don't think that Team Lens will be focusing on creating a service mesh extension.
Understood. There was a question that I do want to clarify. I can't find it now, but I do remember what the individual mentioned. And they said, what makes Lens unique from other similar tools? I found it. Paulos asked this question. And I think this is extremely important to outline to our audience so everybody understands our differentiators.
So as far as we see that there is actually not too much competition in this space. So of course, if we think about it very broadly, so you can think about Cube Dashboard, for example, being a competitor, or even kubectl, the command line tool, itself can be kind of a competitor, because basically all the information that you can see from Lens, somehow you can probably pull that same information also from kubectl. Maybe you don't get so nice visualizations or everything, but in essence, you might find the information. I think the key in here is that Lens tries to bring all the relevant information always in the right context and kind of tightly integrated with this terminal that is directly interacting with the cluster that you are currently looking at, and with the capabilities to extend the functionality through extensions. I think Lens is actually quite unique tool in this space, and I believe that that's also one reason why so many of you and the users are loving it so much.
Awesome, thanks for that. Many individuals are asking if Lens will become a web-based tool or application.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I have been in multiple different discussions around this. So it's basically kind of funny because it would basically mean that we take it back to the roots. Originally, Lens was a web-based application. Our current stand is that for developers, it's not so productive to use web-based solution. I totally understand if the use case is for managers or some team leads who just want to look at things. They are not actually the ones who need to do basically anything. For development purposes, Lens is very tightly integrating with the underlying operating system, using those kube configs and providing the RBAC and everything. And there are just so many things that makes it so much more powerful to run Lens. So we don't currently see there so much point in doing this web-based UI, other than maybe trying to address the needs for some managers and team leads who just wants to observe things. They don't actually do anything. So having said that, we have not 100% said no to the idea of providing the web-based solution. However, if we will do this web-based solution, it will be most likely some sort of centralized service, SaaS offering or something like that. So
Understood. Okay, everyone, we will go with 2 or 3 more questions because of our timing. Let's pick a couple more questions from the audience. And if anybody has any other questions, please put them in the chat. We do plan on answering each and every single one of these questions after the meetup, if there's too many. And this will also be presented to our YouTube channel where individuals can rewatch this if they choose to do so. So here's a fantastic question. It's all the way at the end, Miska and team. And again, sorry if I butcher your name. Kees Van Ginkel mentions, I use Lens mostly to view the cluster state. For changes, we use GitOps approach. Lens is presented as an IDE. Can you talk to me about how you would position Lens, the IDE functionality?
yes, I can. So for us, the IDE, so we kind of think about IDE, what does integrated development environment mean in the context of Kubernetes? So for us, it means basically all the essential Kubernetes technologies, tools, and everything integrated seamlessly together for the purpose of streamlining Kubernetes developer activities, including activities like deploy, run, manage, debug, inspect, observe, and deliver all of that in a single unified environment with a great user experience. So we are not in a business of replacing VS Code. So that's not the IDE that we want to be. But this is the IDE to control your kube clusters, to take control of your kube clusters.
Understood. Okay, last question, everybody. And this one is actually in the chat, but I do find it quite interesting. This is from Sagar Patel. Any plans on adding cluster pod cost insights in Lens? For example, can we monitor AWS EKS cluster costs? Some tools like Kube Costs already do that using Helm, but I would love to see the feature in Lens as well. Team, can we talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, even if we might have some Kube Cost guys or people in this call, but we have been working with people from Team Kube Cost. And I know that there is ongoing effort from Kube Cost team actually to integrate Kube Cost being part of Lens. So you would simply install extension into Lens, and then you would immediately see the usage with the dollar or euro signs. So you can see how much does it actually cost to run your deployments or pods and nodes and whatnot. So yeah, I know that there is activity around that area, and I'm super excited to see that coming into Lens.
Understood. Understood. Okay, everyone, we will now wrap up the Ask Me Anything portion of our meetup. And now we will transition over to the giveaway. For this giveaway, everybody had to register via the meetup to be entered to win either a Raspberry Pi or a Lens hoodie. Today, we will do a total of 7 through 10 giveaways, and I will choose randomly which prize that individual gets. So without further ado, I will share my screen. There's this cool tool that we will use called Wheel of Names, where I've entered everybody's meetup name directly into this tool, and we will spin the dial to see who it lands on. And once we see who it lands on, I will select the prize. Again, we can have a Raspberry Pi or a Lens hoodie. So without further ado, I will share my screen. I will mention that my computer is acting somewhat slow, so I hope you guys won't have any issues. Can everybody see a wheel, Miska or team?
Yes, yes, visible.
Awesome. So here, everybody, we have our names. There's roughly 800 names here, as you guys can see.
800.
Roughly.
How can it be 800?
It's everybody that registered. So a total of 769.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Ready? Let's see the first winner.
Yes. What is the prize?
This prize will be a Raspberry Pi, the most basic of the Raspberry Pis.
Raspberry Pi 4, I believe.
Oh no, somebody's name is V. I don't think we have a V. This is not a great unique identifier. we might have to do a respin, guys. V is not acceptable here, unfortunately. Yes, raise your hand if you are V, but anybody can say they are V. So we will probably just respin. Yes, Jonathan A, I agree. Let's respin. Let's do a respin. Oh, there is a V in the panelist. I am V. Okay. V, please email me at einl.marantis.com. Is there an ambush here? Going once. It should only be 200 only. Yes, I do agree there, Mohammed. I absolutely agree. The issue is we cannot grab all of our attendees' names via Zoom until after the call. And Bouge is here. Congratulations, and Bouge, you have won a Raspberry Pi. Please email me or reach out to me in the meetup. So congratulations, you have won a Raspberry Pi. Can we get some congrats in the chat, everybody?
Yay!
Sweet, sweet. Okay, let's do, look at all the chat going crazy. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's do another spin. This will be for one more Raspberry Pi, everybody. I hope I win. I'm just kidding. Matt Lehman. Matt Lehman, are you here today? We're getting a ton of congrats. I love it, guys. George is here. Yes, George is here. Is there a Matt Lehman here? Yeah, if Matt is not here, we will do a respin. We'll count down for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, he's not here. Let's do a respin. Okay, this is for the last Raspberry Pi. Yas, you cannot win, unfortunately. We will respin. Yas, you cannot win. Greg, are you here? Yes, Yas, I'm sorry. I apologize. I know it's not fair. Greg, are you here? Greg, congratulations, sir. You have won a Raspberry Pi. Please reach out to me on the meetup or via email. Okay, guys, we will do 5 hoodie giveaways. A total of 5 hoodie giveaways. And with those hoodies, you will receive a Lens t-shirt as well. I will showcase the hoodie. Yes, hoodies, swag. And we will be giving away, everybody, just so everybody knows, we will be continuously to be giving away hoodies to our community. So if you want to be entered for that, please join our Slack channel. Rudy, I love it. You're hoping for a hoodie. Okay, let's do a respin. Justin. Are you here, Justin? Can we have a spin with only the attendees? I truly wish we could. Unfortunately, that would have to be done after the meetup again. Now, if everybody agrees to it, I can do this and post this live via our YouTube so everybody can see who wins. Would that be something everybody would prefer? Type yes in the chat if you would prefer this. Artem. Congrats, Artem. Okay, so it seems like everybody would prefer if we do strictly attendees. So if it's okay with everybody, we will do strictly attendees. Now, I will have to end the meetup to do this to be able to grab everybody's name and enter them into the raffle itself. It seems like everybody agrees for attendees only. Yes, okay. We will do 10 hoodie giveaways. I will post it via the meetup directly to the meetup group to the winners. We will do 10 total meetup giveaways. We will give 10 hoodies away for attendees only. I think that is very, very fair. Okay, everybody, I do want to say thank you to each and every single one of you for joining the Lens core development team for our 1-year-old birthday of being an open source technology. Everybody can find Lens at k8lens.dev, and I'm gonna add it to the chat here. And we really, really do appreciate each and every single one of you for joining. We love our community and the family that we're building. And we hope to release some very, very exciting things to help each of you with your cloud native initiatives and your container initiatives. Thank you so much to each and every single one of you. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.